Hey guys, welcome to Sports Fan Network. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Travis.
Well, it was an exciting week of football in week 6. Obviously, a lot of different storylines to kind of process through, but let's start with the biggest one right off the bat. Aaron Rodgers could possibly be out for the season with a broken collarbone injury and his throwing shoulder. So this isn't like the last time he had a broken collarbone injury where his left shoulder, he was out for 6, 7 weeks. This is his right throwing shoulder. So obviously this could make him possibly be out for a long time here. And this is obviously a devastating injury for the Packers.
Yeah, this is devastating for Packers fans for sure. Like myself, I'm a huge Packers fan. And with Aaron Rodgers out, he's carried the Packers for years. And this team really struggled to add a lot of talent around Rodgers for the years he's been in Green Bay. And he's going to end up having surgery on this broken collarbone. So at best, he's going to return like at week 16. He may be out for the season. But without Rodgers, this team's weaknesses will be exposed more. And when Rodgers is healthy, the Packers are always a Super Bowl contender. But now without him, they're going to struggle, and it's going to be really hard for them to make it to the postseason, even though they're 4-2 right now.
Yeah, like you said, not only did they already have, in my opinion, a pretty flawed roster going into the season, but now that you can count the injuries that they've had to suffer through this season, when you're talking about, they have their 2 left starting tackles are pretty much have been injured the entire season. Their 3 backups at the tackle spots have been injured. They're out for the year. Then on defense, they have a bunch of injuries all over the secondary. I mean, just injuries galore in Green Bay so far, and it already, just hampers a roster that already had a lot of weaknesses when you consider that their defense is pretty mediocre at best, I'd say. And, they did lose some talent on their offensive line during the offseason already. So, I mean, this will hurt the Packers big time because Aaron Rodgers, like you said, he makes up for a lot of the flaws that this Packer teams have had over the past few years. But now it's up to Brett Hundley kind of take up the spot here and see if he can kind of right the ship, so to speak, and kind of lead this team to, maybe not make the playoffs, but make it a competitive season for the Packers.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting because me personally, I really like Brett Hundley. And if you don't remember him, he played at UCLA and he was a 3rd-round draft pick, and he's got some really good skills. I think after 3 weeks of getting all the first-team reps in practice, the Hundley is going to continue to grow and improve and get more confident playing with all the other starters. Because last week, I mean, as a backup, your job is supposed to be ready, but you can't expect Brett Hundley to see the field with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. He never gets hurt, and he just got thrown in against Minnesota, who's like a top 5 defense. But I think that the Packers might be okay because they got 2 really good running backs in Ty Montgomery and Aaron Jones, and they're obviously going to have to switch to a run-first offense instead of a pass-first offense. I think getting more reps in practice, I think Brett Hundley is going to continue to develop, and I think he's going to be pretty good. I think he could possibly put the Packers in a position where if Aaron Rodgers returns for the last 2 weeks of the season, that they could possibly be a wild card team. Because if you remember last year when the last time Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone, the Packers still made the playoffs, and he came back. He got them into the wild card. As you're a Bears fan, I'm sure you remember that throw to Randall Cobb with 30 seconds left. But, I mean, this is just devastating for the Packers, really devastating for the NFL because last week you lost J.J. Watt, Odell Beckham. In week 1 you lost David Johnson. So all these superstar players are going down. But we're really about to see how bad this Packers team is without Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's not even to mention Andrew Luck, who hasn't even played yet this season. So a lot of superstars in the NFL have been out so far. And for the Packers, when it comes to their playoff chances, I think the Vikings have to be the favorite, going forward in this division. Obviously, the line's been pretty up and down this year, but I think the Vikings now they're in a position to where they can kind of take the role of, the number 1 team in this division. Let's move on here to some teams outside of the division here. Let's start with the Arizona Cardinals, where Adrian Peterson, in his first game with the Cardinals, he looked fantastic. I mean, he didn't look maybe quite prime Peterson that we saw a few years ago, but he looked pretty darn close.
Yeah, he looked really pretty close to that, and he finished with 26 rushes for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's more production he had in the whole time as he's a member of the New Orleans Saints. So for the Arizona Cardinals, this is a perfect signing for them because, like I said, they lost their best offensive player, David Johnson, in week 1, and they have been one of the worst running football teams in the NFL ever since he went down. And Adrian Peterson stepped in his first week and looked like the back that ran for 1,485 yards in 2015. If Adrian Peterson can keep playing this way and really taking the pressure off Carson Palmer, if the Cardinals defense can step up, this may not be a lost season for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, it seemed like before the trade that the Cardinals were on, very close to kind of falling off that cliff here. They're an older team. This team is obviously built to win now, but you got to wonder going in before this trade, before this last week here, whether it's kind of time to kind of move on with this whole thing, kind of start for them to kind of kickstart the rebuild. But with Andrew Peterson here, I think they have a shot where until David Johnson gets back healthy, he can keep a consistent running game presence for this team until David Johnson does get healthy. And when he comes back healthy, imagine the kind of running back duo this team's going to have, where they have Adrian Peterson, who's just a workhorse, big physical guy, and David Johnson, who he's a big physical guy too, but they can use him more as a third down guy. Obviously, he's going to get more carries than Adrian Peterson, obviously, but they can kind of use him, more of his multifaceted talents, where he can be a receiver more as a out of the running back slot. So a lot of different options for the Cardinals here going forward on offense.
Yeah, that could be really deadly because David Johnson is one of the best receiving backs in football. So if he comes back this year healthy, lining up Adrian Peterson and David Johnson on the same field together is just a nightmare for defensive coordinators. And I think it'd be really fun to watch the Cardinals. They're just really turned into a run-heavy team. Obviously, David Johnson will get most of the carries, but they'd be able to control the clock. And I think that can make them an exciting team in the NFC. But moving on to our next takeaway, this is that the Pittsburgh Steelers have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead again. And this is, for whatever reason, the Steelers, they just know something about the Chiefs that the rest of the NFL doesn't know about, because they just find a way to win against them.
Yeah, it's really surprising. The Steelers really haven't looked very good all season long, even though they are 4-2 at this point. But, I mean, like you said, they just find the way against the Chiefs to beat them. I don't know if it's just Big Ben knows his defense inside and out that the Chiefs run, whether it's just the matchups that the Pittsburgh Steelers possess, but they just seem to have the Chiefs' number. But for me, I wouldn't put too much stock into this. I feel like the Steelers still have some issues to kind of roll out. I mean, Martavis Bryant, the wide receiver, did request a trade leading up to this game already, so there's still some drama for Pittsburgh to kind of figure out here. But in terms of just looking at this game, it really started with the run game for this one. Le'Veon Bell had a huge game for the Steelers.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell finally got going, and this is what we talked about last week. If the Steelers were going to have success, they'd have to turn into a run-first team, really get Le'Veon Bell going. And like I said, they need to get him at least 25 touches, and in this game, they got him 32. He ran for 179 yards and a touchdown. I guess Le'Veon Bell really just likes playing the Chiefs, because he's had a few really big games against them. But also the Steelers' defense did a great job of slowing down the Chiefs' high-powered offense. Kareem Hunt had his worst game as a pro, rushing for only 21 yards on 9 carries. He did have 5 catches for 89 yards. But really, that's what really helped the Steelers, that they were able to slow down the Chiefs' big-time playmakers.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's defense has been actually very underrated so far this season. It's kind of been what's kind of held this team together in the early part of the season while their offense has kind of struggled. And get this stat, the Chiefs only had 6 yards of total offense in the first half. Only 6 yards. And this is one of the most explosive offenses so far this season, with explosive playmakers all over the field. Alex Smith has been playing like an MVP caliber player so far this season. So for the Steelers to go out there and just completely dominate them at their home field, it's got to be very encouraging for Steelers fans. Now, if they're going to obviously continue to kind of build off of this momentum, maybe the Steelers can kind of turn around their season here. They don't really have that much competition in their division, but they've been kind of prone to have some letdowns over the past few seasons, so they kind of got to keep this momentum going forward. But let's move on to another AFC division here. The LA Chargers going up against Oakland, and this game did not really go how we both envisioned this game going.
No, I thought this game was going to be a shootout, but the LA Chargers ended up upsetting Oakland Raiders, but the defense really ruled the day for both teams, as the Chargers won 17-16 on a 32-yard game-winning field goal. The Chargers finally won a close game. They found so many ways to lose close games, and me and you both feel like they're the best, worst team in the NFL. This was a trap game for the Oakland Raiders, and the Raiders' offense really continued to struggle with Derek Carr back from his injury. And the Raiders have failed to score 20 points in 4 straight games. And this was supposed to be an offense that was supposed to be like the best offense in the NFL this year, and they have just struggled a lot.
Yeah, it's really weird to see if there's even a trap game at this point. I mean, Oakland really hasn't done anything so far this season to kind of earn their preseason hype of being a team that could potentially challenge teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers or the New England Patriots for the AFC title. They've really looked bad so far. I mean, they're 2-4. Obviously, they didn't have Derek Carr in their last game, but they had him for this game coming off the back injury, and he just hasn't looked the same this year, even before the injury. He hasn't really done anything in terms of throwing the ball down the field. Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree and all those boys on offense, they really haven't really done a good job of getting open instead this year, and they have a lot of drops. So their offense is just really out of sync. And there's a lot of preseason hype for Marshawn Lynch going forward to this season, and I mean he really hasn't had that big of an impact anyway. So there's a lot of problems so far in this Oakland offense. And going along with the defense, they had some issues as well. It's not really looking good for Oakland right now this season.
Yeah, a lot of people thought Oakland Raiders were going to be Super Bowl favorites heading into this season. They're sitting at 2-4 in the bottom of the AFC West. This is probably one of the biggest surprises, along with the New York Giants this year.
Yeah, well, speaking of those Giants, they did a really big blow to the Denver Broncos for our final takeaway here. As with the Chiefs slipping with their loss here, the Broncos really blew a really prime chance to kind of gain some ground on the Kansas City Chiefs with their loss to the New York Giants.
Yeah, I am in complete shock how the Denver Broncos blew this game because they were at home where they never lose. The Giants didn't have Odell Beckham Jr. They didn't have Brandon Marshall. They even have Sterling Shepard. Some of the wide receivers I've never heard of that were on the field for the Giants, and they just played really bad. But credit to the Giants' defense. They were able to force three turnovers, and the Giants had their running game going, really able to slow down the game, control the clock, keep Denver's offense off the field. But this was just a really big chance for the Broncos to catch up to the Chiefs, and they completely blew it in this one.
Yeah, talk about a trap game. I'm sure Denver thought this was going to be an easy win for them with all the problems that the Giants have had so far this season. And we talked about the fact that the Giants were able to control the game with their running game. I mean, Denver has the best rushing defense so far this season. And, I mean, the Giants were able to pretty much control the clock throughout the entire game. It was really surprising, especially with the fact that the Giants haven't had a running game, not only this season, but over the past few seasons. They haven't had a running game at all. So, I mean, that was maybe the big surprise of this game. I mean, they didn't really ask Eli Manning to do very much because of the limited weapons he had, and just very weird. I mean, this kind of shows that, any given Sunday in the NFL, any team can go out there and get a victory. We'll see if the Cleveland Browns and San Francisco 49ers can kind of follow that trend. I'm not too sure. Those teams are pretty bad right
now. Yeah, and also the Giants didn't have Olivier Vernon or Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, and for the Broncos to let Orleans Darkwa run for almost 100 yards against you is a complete embarrassment. And like you said, the Giants have been the worst running football team in the NFL. So this game was just completely shocking. I am at a loss of words. I just don't know how the Giants did
it. You and me both. Well, those are our thoughts for Week 6 of the NFL season. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section below. Obviously, it was another exciting week in the NFL. We're looking forward to more exciting weeks going forward. Make sure to like us on Facebook. Thanks, guys, for watching.
Yeah, we'll leave a link to our Facebook page in the description below. And we're also only 4 subscribers away from hitting 50 subscribers. So if you guys could really help us out by smashing that subscribe button, we'd appreciate it a lot. And thank you guys so much for watching.